So in another video, I did talk about Maimonides' description of how figurative language is used in the Bible and how he encourages us to read the Bible, taking most of the things not to be literal, but figurative, and that's how we might end up understanding more the concepts that are expounded in the Bible. And in the Bible here, I am talking about the Old Testament. Now, he also talks about not only the description of things and concepts and ideas, but he also talks about prophecy. In fact, prophecy is a huge topic in the book, and I did mention in another video that when we hear of prophecy, for people who are not spiritual or religious, it might seem like something that you shouldn't waste your time learning about. But when you read the book, The Guide for the Perplexed, Maimonides has a very interesting approach to the topic of prophecy, an intellectual approach, in fact, and it's very interesting. His approach is very interesting. But in this video, I'm going to talk about his take on uh, things that are described in prophecy, things that might seem to be, and people take them to be true or to be actual things that are going to happen. But when you look at them, they don't seem like they are possible even to happen. Now, let me give you an example. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 13, verse 11, it reads, "For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun is darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine." So basically, that verse is saying that it's going to happen that the stars will shut down basically, and the sun will stop giving light and the moon will stop giving light. Now, this is given as a prophecy, and somebody reading this might be like, yeah, that's likely to happen, that the stars will wake up one day and the stars are off and the sun is off and the moon is off. Here is another verse, that is Isaiah 13:13. Therefore I'll shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place, and the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the days of his fierce anger. Yet another one, see how the heavens decay and the earth withers away, and all beings on earth die, and you are saved. Here is another one, still in the book of Isaiah. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their sting shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood, and all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and heaven shall be rolled together as a scroll, and their host shall fall down as a leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a fig falleth from the fig tree. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, I shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment. Here is another. There are so many. And this is just from the book of Isaiah. Of course, there are many other books that will have similar. I'll create new heavens and a new earth, for the first shall be forgotten, and their memory shall be blotted out. Now, this just from, as I said, from the book of Isaiah. So when you read the book of Isaiah and then in other books, prophetic books, you will have language like the stars are fallen, the heavens are overthrown, the sun is darkened, the earth is waste and trembles, such kind of language. Now, Maimonides tells us that we have to be very careful when we read prophecy or prophetic books. And we have to be aware that, number one, the language is figurative. I've already explained that in another video. And he also says the language is mostly hyperbolic, is hyperbole, which means some of these things were described by these writers using, as I've said, hyperbolic language. Like they went to the, sometimes what you can even say is very extreme in their own in their own description. But Maimonides tells us that in that ancient time, it was so common for people to use such language, even when describing very mundane things. So, for example, he says the Arabs, for example, will say when a serious accident happens to you, he says the Arabs will say, "His heavens together with his earth have been covered." Uh, And when they speak of the approach of a nation's prosperity, they say the light of the sun and the moon has increased. Like when they talk of good things happening to a nation, they'll use such language. A new heaven and a new earth has been created. They used to use such similes and metaphor. So he tries to make us understand that when you are reading some of these things in the prophetic books in the Bible, you need to understand that there is a lot of hyperbolic language besides the figurative language that is used. And you shouldn't read it, and if it says, oh, the stars will shut down, and then you imagine that, yeah, that's true, the stars will shut down. In fact, it does explain about the fall of Babylon. I think it's described in the book of Daniel. And he tells us that the fall, the way it is described, you might think that, oh, the sky fell and all these things happened. But what was really being described here is things went really bad for the Babylonians. Their lives, in particular, what is this? The Persians came and conquered them and put their land to waste. So that's what was being described, but then they use this hyperbolic language that makes it seems like the earth was falling, the stars and the moons and such language. Okay, to cut the story short, what Maimonides is trying to tell us in the Guide for the Perplexed about prophecy. This is not the only thing about prophecy, by the way. I'm going to have several other books talking, several other videos, talking about how Maimonides approaches the topic of prophecy. Is that we should be very cautious, and we should be aware of the use of hyperbole and figurative language.